It's trying to figure out how you can drive them to say, okay, what am I getting out of this tool? And could I get that from another one? Or do I just need to integrate with that tool to be able to bring information in? So I don't think people are wrong in wanting all the tools, because I think a lot of tools are catering towards, your RevOps or your SE team, or even your professional services teams, right? But I think it's just stepping back and, again, just looking at what the value is that you're getting from each of them.
You've all talked about Claude, right? It can kind of do a lot of things. Is there
Yeah.
an example that someone has seen here of something that does go in above and beyond and justifies the use of a specialized tool
Besides Claude?
besides Claude?
I mean, I'll tell you what I'm paying for is Whisperflow. And I know there's been a lot of, I've seen so many of their ads in different newsletters, and the ability to cleanly speak to the computer and get that to type instead of me doing it by hand, in certain cases has been a big help. And it's a because it does save time in terms of if you really want a stream of consciousness interaction with your prompting, with your writing, your first draft anyway. um, it definitely does save that time. And on the other hand, it's not something that was enterprise wide. It was something that I paid for on my own. Um, for me, it was the valuable tool to have outside of Claude.
Yeah,
I'd say, go ahead, Jonathan, go. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, I just because we had ChatGPT kind of from the beginning of this whole this gold rush, right? And we have the enterprise license, and it's connected to, like I said, our internal systems. That's kind of what I stick to. And every once in a while, I'll look at other tools, and I do get just curious about other things, right? But at the end of the day, it's like just because we have it, I built so many different projects and skills and things of that nature. A couple of weeks ago, I worked with the marketing team, and they asked me to put together a Navattic. And so I created it. And then, the project manager asked me, how do I get the engagement for like the previous week? And I was like, oh, I can just send it to you, right? And I sat there and I said, no, I can actually build something, right? So I
Yeah.
used the Navattic MC. Yeah, I used the Navattic MCP. I used ChatGPT, and I created I think it's an automation. So like every Monday morning, it slacks me, and then I just forward her the report. So and I was like, I started looking at like different things like Copilot and Codex, and I was like, no, let me just keep it simple, like. And yeah, no, it works perfectly fine. So
Wait,
it's
that's fascinating. Can you run us through that one more time? So the initial ask, what you did to build, and then what's the output? This is like a great practical example, and probably something we could all be learning from to find out these little automations we can create ourselves.
Yeah, no, 100%. So a couple, and I think Shannon, you might have been, not sure if you got the Navattic challenge, where it's the
Yeah.
MCP server, right? So I connected it to ChatGPT. It was funny because at first it wasn't working, and I'm pretty sure it was just a permissions issue that we had, and then it got approved. But after that, I started messing with it, and it was right around that same time I got asked to create this Navattic. Um, and then she later on was like, "This is great." I sent her all the engagement and all the analytics that comes with it directly from the Navattic website, but obviously manual. And then she said, "Is there any way I can get this data on a weekly basis?" In my mind, I was like, "I'll just flag it to you." But then I was like, "No, like, let me see if I can build something else." So I asked ChatGPT, I was like, "How can I build this report? Have it sent to me or her?"
Nice.
And it literally laid it all out. It gave me options. It was like there was an easy way, like a kind of like a midway, and then like a really hard way, right? And I was like, let me do the easy way. And so I connected it to Slack, and it from there it just kind of took off. So every Monday morning that report gets sent to me, I send it to her, and it's and it took me maybe 10 or 15 minutes to set that up. It was super quick.
Did you tell this person that it's an AI report, or are you still taking credit for it?
No, it's definitely, yeah. I told her, I was like, let me actually build this report. Funny enough, it in Slack it does say generated by ChatGPT, so it's coming from the,
Do
the
you-
the boss upstairs, I guess, at that point. Yeah.
How much verification do you do of the report itself? I mean, have you gotten to the point where you can just blindly trust it, or are you always checking?
So at first, yeah. So at first, I kind of fine tuned it. There was some accounts in there that I know are coming from some of our internal testing measures, and so I went in there and said, "Hey, remove this domain. Remove that." But I got it to the point where it's accurate to the way it can be, right? But yeah, no, you definitely have to kind of fine tune it and make sure it's not throwing you random numbers or anything like that.
I'm so excited to I have actually time blocked on my calendar tomorrow and to dig into the skills. One of the things that I started teaching Claude is that whenever I do my demo overviews or I'm putting together a presentation, it actually now prompts me and says, do you want me to build out the Navattic modals and notes for this? Because I've been doing all of my presentations using Navattic, so copying PowerPoint screens in and then kind of integrating that with my, click through demos. But what I'm really excited about now is to be able to say, go build that using the new skills that they've introduced, Navattic has introduced. So that's on my. I'll let you go. Maybe next time we meet, we can talk about how that worked. But excited to be able to do that. So that's like talking about like those integrations and those tools. Like, I don't think there's one tool that can replace everything. I think there's key tools. It's how those tools are now going to integrate and making sure that you're not integrating too many is key.
Let's talk about consolidation and picking the right tools for your team. Are you three actively looking for more tools, or is it more of trying to figure out what the right optimizations and connections are today? And how's that looking at the moment?
I'm looking to add licenses for existing tools. So one of them is the one for Salesforce and Slack, right? Building that integration tighter. And then things like Launchpad, which, like, Jonathan, that just like that report, I made a note about this. I'm starting that report after, right? But having Launchpad, it's great because it will send an email when somebody's looked at it. It'll tell you all of the stats, but it sends it to, that one AE. But what if, we pull that report and send it to, the sales leaders and show, where the value is, without them even having to ask, right? Pushing that.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I think for us, it's, I think, kind of on that same boat, Shannon, where it's like we're like I said, I use Claude personally, and I think right now we're going through the process of getting it approved, internally. But that's something that I do want to kind of introduce, right? Once again, to bring up the podcast, but on the way here, there was an SE that, talked about they do RFPs using a Claude skill. And according to him, he said it's the best one. Like, for me, it completely fills out my RFPs in, just a few minutes. He tried out some other tools, but it's just the one that works for him. And I was like, okay, that's something that actually applies to me. I really want to try that, right? So now I'm thinking I should probably pay for an enterprise license and then, obviously use it when it gets approved. But it's like little things like that, right? I'm looking for workflows that apply to me, not necessarily just going out there and blindly testing all these things, because it's, unfortunately, it's just a waste of time at that point.
I'll send you my skill. I built one for that too.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
So as you guys are looking at this, everyone's talking. You as leaders are talking. ICs are talking. How are you keeping your teams grounded when there's pressure in the industry or from internal leadership to adopt X tool, Y tool, new thing, always be showing more AI? What's it like to keep the teams grounded?
I mean, I think it's just asking, it's a question that's come up all the time now, which is, does this tool do something that our current stack can't do? Because a lot of the time you can use your existing resources, your existing tooling, or even your existing processes to do what you're trying to do. I think there's a lot of cool factor involved in being attracted to certain tools. But if you can say, nah, with a little bit of work, we can use Lovable for this internal tooling instead of an external task manager, let's do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, if you're going to bring a tool, make sure that you can justify it and say, this is what I do now, but try and find a way to do that same thing with the existing tool set instead of just looking at the new flashy little thing that just came out. that only focuses on this. And then talk to your peers, because I found one time, I found out on the side that, there was a new tool that somebody else was already pushing forward that had something I needed too. And I think that gets lost a lot,